Assalamu alaikum. So today I'll be talking about poverty, inequality, unequal access to jobs, and insecurity in northern Nigeria. And I'll be wrapping up this entire conversation under the following. 1. A just society, a just and civil society can only be achieved through just means and just procedures. That is 1. 2. Acute poverty or acute inequality existing side by side along extreme riches and extreme wealth, extreme poverty is a clear indication that such society is having a high level of socioeconomic disorder. 3. A society that continues to have or to experience an increase in socioeconomic disorder or socioeconomic injustices clearly wouldn't last long, or because at a certain point in time such economy or such society will cease to exist. 3. 4. The government have the primary rules to ensure that socioeconomic disorder is not existing in that particular society, or the government have the primary role to ensure that there is social justice in that economy, that people have the right to seek, or people have the right to be protected, people have the right to be governed properly, and people have the right to seek for government intervention in many of their activities. 5. Irrespective of the government position, whether the government is just or unjust, individuals in the society, organizations in the society have the rules to ensure that there is social order in that society. These are some of the headings that I'm going to be analyzing this discussion under. And because of time constraint, I probably would have to just focus on the poverty and the insecurity rather than inequality and unequal access to jobs. By definition, what do we mean by poverty? Poverty is multidimensional. And to understand what poverty means, to have a clear definition of what poverty means, I think it would be best if you ask the poor, what do they think about poverty? How do they feel about poverty? And what better way can you define poverty without even asking the poor what do they really think about poverty? To some, poverty is lack of access to water. To some other, it is lack of access to electricity. To some, it is lack of access to basic basic needs in the society, such as infrastructure, lack of security, lack of jobs, and so many things that you need to ask. To some other person, when you ask them what does poverty really mean, to them they think because they were not able to afford the kind of housing that they want, it simply means they are poor. But should we talk about poverty in terms of people who can't even eat 1 square meal a day, or 2 square meal a day, or 3 square meal a day? Each of them, there are people who are facing some of these challenges. And there are people that only eat once a day. And not because they don't want to eat, but because they can't even afford to eat. If you go by the definition of IMF, World Bank, that look at poverty in terms of people who earn less than $1 per day. I think $1 now is about 1,200 naira. For those of you that are conversant with Binance, it's about 1,200 naira now. And if you look at that, you come to realize that more than 100 million Nigerians are extremely poor, because so many people can't even, they don't even earn 100 naira per day, and they are a family, they are a household. All of them put together don't even earn 500 naira per day. That is less than half $1. They don't even earn it per day. And sometimes they have to eat so many dirty things just to survive throughout that day. And a lot of people, unfortunately, do not even have this first-hand experience, and they don't even know anybody they can even seek this information from. And the government seems not to even care. And if you go to societies or places where there are acute poverty, you will come to realize that a lot of them are so poor and they don't even have any basic, government is not providing anything to them in that society. Not security, not infrastructure, not schools, and not even roads. A lot of them depends on farming to survive in the society. And now, with what is happening in many states in northern Nigeria. For example, we'll talk about places like Zamfara, Sokoto, Kano. You talk about Jigawa and Katsina, particularly Katsina and Zamfara and Niger State. You come to realize that a lot of this society, 70 to 80% of them depends on farming. And these farming activities that they really depend on is not helping because they can't even go to the farm. This is their primary source of livelihood, and they can't even go to the farm because of insecurity. They are being killed except for those who are able to pay the ransom. And their children can't even go to school because a lot of them are kidnapped. A lot of them were being kidnapped. A lot of them are facing insecurity challenges in society. And because of that, they can't even take their children to school. They can't even attend the farms. They can't even go to hospital. And they lack all the basic necessities of life. Now, what is the role of government? The question is, does Islamic government encourages poverty? Does it encourage people to be poor? Is poverty among the characteristics of Islam? Does Islam want people to be poor? No, the answer is no, obviously no. Islam doesn't encourage people to be poor. And that is why Prophet Muhammad said, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-kufri wal-faqri. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from disbelief, al-kufr wal-faqr, and also from poverty. Now, let me try to break this down again, taking it point by point. The first we say, a just society can only be achieved through just means. A society that is not just, there will continue to be a disorder, there will continue to be a high level of insecurity, and there will continue to be poverty, and there will continue to be so many forms of injustices that will be occurring in that society. And the government, just like we said, has the primary role, responsibility to ensure that they are able to resolve all of this and help the citizens. The question of Nigeria, do we really have poverty or it is bad governance? I'm sure you know the best answer. Looking at this and making all your analysis, I think we all will come to the conclusion that we have bad governance. And we pray to Allah that one day we can be able to have a good governance such that there will be social order and there will be a reduction in poverty, and that people can be able to go to school, and there will be basic needs that people will be able to meet up with their basic needs. What do you really think about this? Do you really think we are poor just because we are poor, or just because we are not working hard? Or do you really think we are poor because the government is doing the wrong thing, because the government are looting the resources? Please, I would like to hear your comment below. Thank you so much.